Welcome to La Vida Rosa. I'm your host Pinky, and today we're going to be talking about toxic black couples. So if you'd like to see more, then just stay tuned, like, comment, and subscribe. And without further ado, let's get into this video. Let me preface this by saying, because every time I talk about y'all favorite TV shows or movies, people always get in these comments, this ain't even real. Nick, you talking about this like this real? Okay, party pooper, we know it. We all know that. The fun is talking about it like it's real, okay? I want to talk about these toxic black couples from these TV shows and movies that we love, because I feel like when I was younger, a lot of this stuff was pushed on us and it was romanticized and celebrated in our community. Oh my goodness, we love loving basketball, even though it's one of the most toxic love stories you could ever watch in your life. I feel like for these relationships, even though they might have had a happy ending, because people in the writers' room wanted them to have a good ending because they're lovable characters, because even though they went through trials and tribulations, they want us to get the message that we should be ride or dies. And even though we go through the fire and we get treated bad and disrespected left and right, we could still have a happy end with the man of our dreams that is actually a devil in disguise, okay? And he ain't even hiding it that well, because you're just ignoring all the red flags, okay? I'm bracing myself for the comments because I already know this one is going to get a lot of people hot and fingers typing. Maya and Darnell. Yes, I said it. Yes, I said it. They had a toxic relationship, okay? First of all, they're high school sweethearts. Now, I'm not saying that high school sweethearts can never make it long term, but I do feel like if you met the love of your life in high school, I feel like at some point in y'all's relationship, y'all should take a break, okay? Getting to know who you are as a person individually and maybe advancing in your career. Like, I feel like you should take some time to get to know who you are as a person and grow. And if y'all really love each other, y'all will come back together and it can work. I know people that have been together since high school and 10 years later down the line, they divorced because they cheated. I'm telling you, I've seen it so many times. And it's because I feel like a lot of times that person is comfortable, that's their security blanket or whatever, and you don't want to let that person go, but you also want to test the waters, and it be one of both people in the relationship. And sometimes they're able to salvage the relationship and stay together, but a lot of times they cheat and they break up, and you're a divorcee at 25. I said all that to say, in the beginning of this series, Darnell did not want to let Maya grow. Maya wanted to spread her wings. She wanted to get an education, and Darnell was just being very controlling. He didn't like the fact that she was changing or she was hanging out with these different people. But no, he just wanted her to be the same old Maya from high school. And Maya wanted to elevate. Maya wanted to write a book eventually, you know what I'm saying? But Darnell, he wanted to be the same old Darnell and the same old Maya, and that is where they started to clash. At some point, when Darnell was played by Flex Washington, the first season, he cheated on Maya. A lot of people forget that. He cheated on Maya, or at least it was alluded to. Joan caught him, you know, having dinner with a coworker, and he came back and wanted to check her and let her know, you know, being extra defensive that that's not what he was doing. And it was alluded to that he cheated because Maya was like, he never feels the need to have to defend himself like that. So something must have went down, whether it was emotional or physical. But honestly, that was just swept under the rug. And so when Darnell became Khalil, I guess he was just this new faithful man child. But that's when Maya wanted to cheat. Maya was dead wrong for cheating. Let me just say that. I felt like Maya's eyes were wandering because Darnell was stifling her. And Stan, there's this new man working at the office. He signifies growth in her eyes. I feel like that's what kind of lured Maya to cheat, because outside of that, it just doesn't seem like Maya would have cheated on Darnell. But Maya was dead wrong because she was having secret meetups with Stan. She was lying, having her friends lie, accepting gifts from Stan and putting on Joan. And Darnell already didn't like Joan from before, but he really got mad at Joan when he thought that she bought her friend this expensive watch that Darnell could not afford. And that was another time where he tried to check Joan. Side note, why did Maya never stand up and tell her husband not to talk to her friend like that? Because I would have been he definitely would have got some mouth back if he would have talked to me like that. But yeah, she definitely cheated on him, eventually kissed the man, was very trifling about it. But her friends ended up guilting her into thinking that she was wrong, because she didn't see anything wrong with it at first. And she did cut Stan off. And then Stan Crazy Tail came in and made friends with Darnell. He was all up in her house being buddy-buddy with Darnell, threatening to tell Darnell, blackmailing Maya, until she finally decided to say, look, I'm going to tell him myself. And I guess he had mercy on her. Darnell still found out because she didn't butt dial this man, and they were in there cackling and gossiping about the fact that Maya was cheating on her husband. When I tell you that was one of the most gut-wrenching scenes of television I've ever seen in my life. That acting was A1, but Darnell ended up dumping Maya, which as he should, but he kept kind of like yo-yoing her feelings even after they divorced. Like, you could tell that Maya always wanted Darnell back, but Darnell really wanted her to suffer. He really wanted to make her pay, and I think he did want to move past Maya, but he never actually did. And it just came to the point where he proposed to another woman and even was about to get married to this woman. I feel like he never should have involved that woman, because deep down he loved Maya. Even the night before the wedding, he came to her house drunk, telling her how much he loved her. I feel like he never should have went through with that wedding. Maya should have never showed up to the wedding. Low-key object in the most passive-aggressive way possible. They run off. Low-key, both of them should have got stomped out for that. Let's just be real. Both of them should have got stomped out for that, for the way that they ran out of that wedding and ran to Mexico and got married themselves, remarried. And then they went on to live happily ever after, pretty much. And I'm just like, so we're going to ignore what happened in the beginning of the relationship. But I still feel like their relationship was toxic. I don't care what nobody got to say. I don't care. I don't think it would have went down like that in real life. That they would never talk about her cheating past, him ditching that other woman at the altar. Any trust issues they might have had with each other just went poof. Yeah, I'm not buying it. Now, the next undercover toxic relationship is Mia and Lance from the movie The Best Man. I want y'all to take a second and to remember how this relationship started, because I feel like in the second movie, their relationship got uplifted and celebrated and heralded as the best relationship out of them all, because he finally got some act right and Mia tragically passed away. Let's not forget Lance, who was played by fine Morris Chestnut, just had to throw that in there, was a football playing hypocrite. He wanted to act like the ultimate Christian and wanted to be so condescending to his friends and everything, until it came time for him to be faithful to his girl. It's crazy how he was like one of the biggest sluts on campus, but he wanted to find a virgin to wife up. Now, it was Monica's choice to stick around. But this is my point. Instead of leaving and finding someone that will actually have respect for you and your body enough not to go around sleeping with all these other women, she decides to cheat on him with his best friend. Now, that is about as messy and as toxic as it gets. Okay? I know we love Mia. Rest in peace. And the craziest part is she might would have got away with it had his friend not been messy and actually wrote a book about it. Lance is crazy because he's mad at everybody but himself. Like, he literally tried to throw his friend off the balcony because of it. He's just in agony and despair over her one discretion. Even though you're sowing all your wild oats all over campus, you know everybody knew what was going down. You know the side chicks and whoever else he was messing around with was throwing that in her face. Forget all of the public embarrassment. This one, and even though it was a major indiscretion. I will say that it was major. But does that compare to all of what you did to her? His ego was so bruised that he was actually seriously considering not marrying this girl, even after she's been your long suffering girlfriend. The least that you could do was put a ring on it and let her enjoy the fruits of her labor. Okay? With you becoming this famous athlete and making all this money. He held on to that grudge against Lance for years. Okay? We see them years later. He barely want to speak to the man. But you're telling me he didn't have no bitterness in his heart towards Mia? You can't tell me he wasn't throwing it in her face every time he got a chance. And you also couldn't tell me that he wouldn't try to get back on her get back. Okay? I don't care how they were trying to frame their relationship in that movie, or how he was agonizing over her death in the TV series, and how he finally was able to move on. I don't want to hear it. I don't care how much we love Mia as a person, okay? That relationship was toxic. Let's move on to Gina and Martin. Now, this relationship is very celebrated in the Black community. And I'm not gonna lie, their relationship is cute on the surface. Like, their cute little banter back and forth. They were really funny and they had great chemistry. We can't deny that fact. But we also have to admit that Martin is the original man with a microphone on a podcast spewing all this misogynistic and male chauvinistic ideals. In this day and age, his radio show would be a Kevin Samuels type of show, okay? Asking women what do they bring to the table, telling them they're a 6 at best. When in reality, Gina was out of his league, especially when it came to their career. I feel like Gina was always the more successful one. She was a high level executive. And yes, Martin did end up becoming a very successful TV show host, but he had a rinky-dink radio show with a janky boss. He was very much so out of Gina's league. I feel like at certain moments he really could not take that. Not to mention how he constantly talked down to and dragged the women on this show, mainly Pam. Like, even though the back and forth between them was funny, the fact that Gina would just sit there and allow her man to just call her all types of animals and BDBs and all kind of stuff like that. Like, you just sitting there letting your man talk to your friend crazy like that. Once again, Martin was very insecure and he was constantly influenced by his trifling friends. Him and Gina would be good, and then as soon as she walked out the door and they walked in, they would fill his head with crazy ideas, and all of a sudden him and Gina would have a problem. And see, I couldn't deal with that. Why are you discussing our relationship with your idiot friends and then actually letting them influence whether we're doing good or not? Another huge red flag were the fact that his friends were bums in the first place. Tommy didn't have a job, or he was a drug dealer, whichever way you want to look at it. And Cole had a job, but he lived at home with his mama pretty much the whole show. And finally, Gina had to beg Martin to marry her. Literally had to give him an ultimatum. I'm gonna leave you if you don't propose to me. And then he gave the worst proposal of all time.
Gina, I will marry you. I mean, are you happy now?
Oh, I forgot to mention, he let his mama disrespect her at every turn. Like, his mama was so nasty towards her. I don't even know why she wanted to marry Martin with a mother-in-law like that, okay? Her parents were a little snooty and stuck up, but at least they didn't treat Martin like trash. I've given y'all every reason on this earth why this relationship is toxic and how Gina could have done better. I don't even know why she stuck around. Melanie and Derwin. I don't know why when I was watching the game, why I was always rooting for Melanie and Derwin when they had the most toxic relationship of all time. First of all, Melanie passed up Johns Hopkins, which is one of the top medical institutes in the country. And she went to go follow Derwin in his football dreams, even though he was a bench warmer. Now, was he paying for her medical school? Yes, but Melanie came from money. She didn't need for him to pay for that. If she wanted to go to Johns Hopkins, she could have went there. I feel like from the beginning their relationship was doomed. He did pay for her schooling, but he ended up holding that over her head later on. Also, another red flag, he proposed to her and she didn't want to get married to him. You'll move across the country for him, but you won't marry him. It's a reason. When he got a little taste of the spotlight, a little taste of fame, child, he turned around and he cheated on her with Drew Sidora, one of the biggest stars he had access to at the time. And also someone that Melody was a huge fan of. She ends up leaving him, not mad at her at all. Good, okay, she left him, but ended up trying to get back at him by sleeping with Malik. Toxic. They're on a break, they're dating other people, and they end up getting back together, but not before he gets someone else pregnant and has a break baby. Justice for Janae, by the way, because Melody did everything she could to disturb that woman while she was pregnant, and that woman didn't do nothing wrong. She was in a relationship with Derwin. She ended up getting pregnant and they didn't end up working out, and you decided that you wanted to be a part of the circus and stay with Derwin. Don't get mad at her for that, but literally could not take being second to that child. So Derwin ended up proposing again, and she decided to rush the wedding so that she could get married to him and one up the baby. But guess what? The baby ended up winning because the baby was born, and he had to rush out right before they could say their vows. And so she was standing there looking stupid and crying. Toxic, okay? It was everything she deserved, though. That was one of my favorite parts of the series. She deserved all of that. Girl, it's what you get, because why are you choosing Derwin? You already know what he's about. But they do end up having a shotgun wedding in Las Vegas. And years later, she still cannot stand the fact that Derwin has this baby by another woman. And she decides to get the baby DNA tested and got a false negative, told the man that wasn't his child, and they end up having to take another DNA test, and it turns out that is his child. So she created endless co-parenting turmoil between him and Janae for absolutely no reason. Now, I'm not saying Derwin was no angel, because he was out there sneaking behind her back, having family time without telling her with Janae. So I'm not saying Darnell was an angel in the situation. I'm just saying they shouldn't have been together because they was toxic. They're not good for each other. They bring the worst out of each other. Finally, let's talk about the ultimate toxic couple from the movie Love and Basketball. Like many others have said on YouTube, this movie should be considered a horror story for Black women. Nothing about this relationship should be emulated by anyone that watches this movie. This is not love. From the very beginning, baby Quincy had no respect for baby Monica. He pushed her and made her bleed. And then after that, he wanted to make her his girlfriend. I feel like that was the worst possible positive reinforcement that she could have had, because it allowed her to accept the worst in every aspect of their relationship moving forward. Later on, when they became teens, he literally only gave her the homie treatment until at the prom. She put on a little makeup and put on a little dress. He saw her figure and he finally wanted to look her way. Not to mention, he took one of the little girls that were willing to give it up for prom night. Let's just be honest. He took one of those to prom, but then he ended up taking her virginity that night. And everybody thinks that moment is so beautiful. Actually, it's not. Hasn't he been a little slut this entire time? But I get it. She's always had a burning torch for him, right? He knew it and he took advantage of it. Obviously, that's at the end of high school. They did good for a split second when they got to college. And then Quincy found out that his dad treated his mom like trash, was a serial cheater. All of his ideas of his father was a lie. And instead of wanting to be a better man than his father, he starts treating Monica like trash and casually cheating in front of her face for absolutely no reason at all. Like literally nothing has happened in their relationship. The next day, he brings another girl around and is all up in her face and talking about, well, do you want to go out to eat with us? Obviously her heart is broken, and yes, this will be the biggest heartbreak of her life. I just wanted her to move on. Like, she literally starts playing basketball overseas. We didn't see her dating anyone else. We never saw her living it up with Rodriguez in Spain, like living her best life. She was living out her dream of playing basketball, but still could not get Quincy off her mind. Meanwhile, he has a whole fiance. Then we get to the infamous "I'll play you for your heart," which is so sickening and sad to watch when you know better. It's almost as bad as that Grey's Anatomy scene. Love me, choose me, pick me. Ugh, that gives me the ick every time I think about it. But she tells this man she wants to play for his heart. He literally dunked on her in this scene, basically saying, no, I don't want you. I mean, to me, that's what those actions say. This woman had to slave for this relationship in every way, shape, or form to get this man. Okay? And then at the end, we see her married to him with a baby. And we're supposed to think that's cute? I'm supposed to think that's cute? I'm supposed to think that all of a sudden he stopped putting her through the fire in every way? I'm supposed to think that he's not emulating his father still? I'm supposed to think this is a happy, loving relationship? Like, y'all, I really do think the messaging in these movies and TV shows are harmful, and we should not accept that. All of these people in these relationships that got done wrong deserve better, okay? You do not have to settle just because you're comfortable with this person, or because you don't think you can get anybody better, or because you're scared of being alone, because I can guarantee you all of these people would be better off being single. I'm so glad I got this off of my chest. Y'all let me know what y'all think down below. Do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? Are you mad at me? Let me know what you think down below. I would love to hear your opinion, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Peace.